UNIQLO, the Japanese giant that broke all the rules. In the world of fast fashion, there's a common set of rules that most brands follow. You're supposed to pick a specific target audience, stay on top of the latest trends, and update your shelves every 2 weeks to keep people coming back. But UNIQLO, the Japanese powerhouse, decided to do things differently. Instead of chasing the latest runway looks, they focused on making high-quality basics for everyone. Today, they're one of the biggest clothing retailers in the world, proving that sometimes being boring is actually a stroke of genius. A humble start. UNIQLO's story reaches back to 1949, long before the brand became a global symbol of minimalist style. In the aftermath of the war, when Japan was rebuilding itself piece by piece, a small men's clothing shop opened in the city of Ube. It was a modest business, run with limited resources. The brand as we know it today started taking shape in the 1980s under Tadashi Yanai. Yanai inherited the small chain of men's clothing stores from his father, but he had much bigger ambitions and a desire to break the mold of traditional retail. In 1984, Yanai opened a new store called Unique Clothing Warehouse. The brand's modern name, however, came about almost by accident. When the company attempted to register the brand in Hong Kong, a clerical error transformed UNIQLO into UNIQLO. Instead of correcting it, Tadashi Yanai found himself unexpectedly drawn to the new spelling. It looked modern, international, and slightly unconventional, qualities he believed the company should embody. What began as a simple mistake became a stroke of branding luck, giving the company a name that felt both distinctive and approachable. The supermarket concept for clothes. As the business grew, it embraced what was then called the supermarket concept, a retail approach that felt surprisingly modern for its time. Instead of the formal, slightly intimidating atmosphere common in clothing shops, this new model encouraged customers to walk in freely, browse at their own pace, and grab what they needed without fuss. The layout emphasized simplicity and modesty, stripping away anything that might distract from the clothes themselves. It was a refreshing change in a market where shopping often felt like a chore. Global success didn't happen overnight, and Yanai never pretended to have all the answers. In the early years of UNIQLO's expansion, he openly admitted that he was still learning what it meant to run a truly international company. One of the brands he admired most was the American giant Gap, which at the time seemed to embody everything a modern global retailer should be. Yanai studied their stores, their marketing, even the way they organized their supply chain, trying to understand how they had managed to build such a powerful worldwide presence. He eventually traveled to the United States to meet Gap's executives in person, eager to pick their brains and absorb whatever wisdom they were willing to share. For him, it wasn't about imitation, but about understanding the mindset behind a successful global operation. He wanted to learn from the best so that one day he could stand alongside them and, if possible, surpass them. Success through crisis. UNIQLO's rise coincided with a turbulent period in Japan's economy. The country entered a prolonged downturn in the early 1990s, a time when many businesses struggled to stay afloat. Yet UNIQLO managed not only to survive, but to thrive. As households tightened their budgets, the brand's focus on affordable, dependable clothing resonated with consumers who were becoming more cautious about spending. People who had once spent freely on fashion began looking for pieces that would last, and UNIQLO's straightforward approach, practical designs, solid quality, and prices that didn't strain the wallet, offered exactly what they needed. By this point, the company had already shifted to a fully vertical business model, designing, manufacturing, and selling its own clothes. This structure allowed UNIQLO to keep prices low without compromising on quality. While other retailers tried to reinvent themselves through flashy trends or risky expansions, UNIQLO doubled down on value and consistency. In a climate of uncertainty, the brand's steady presence offered something people could rely on. This unexpected success during a national slowdown strengthened the company's identity, gave UNIQLO the confidence to look beyond Japan, and laid the foundation for its future ambitions. Unlike Western brands that focus on standing out, UNIQLO focused on blending in and sold clothes designed to make life better through comfort and functionality rather than flashy logos. They called this lifewear. These weren't clothes that defined who you were, they were just there to make your life more comfortable. By sticking to simple shapes and tons of different colors, UNIQLO made sure their stuff would never go out of fashion. A bold entrance that backfired. UNIQLO's first major step into Europe came in the early 2000s, when the company was riding a wave of domestic success. Encouraged by this momentum, the company launched an aggressive expansion in the United Kingdom, opening 21 stores in just 2 years. At home in Japan, the brand was booming, and executives believed they could simply copy and paste their domestic formula abroad. But the rapid expansion proved to be a costly miscalculation. CEO Tadashi Yanai later admitted that the company was growing too fast, and the UK operations were plagued by weak management, a lack of understanding of the local market, and a lack of strategic clarity. Within a short time, UNIQLO was forced to shut down 16 of the 21 stores, a painful retreat that Yanai described as a huge loss. As the company was trying to understand what had gone wrong, another issue quietly surfaced. The clothes themselves didn't fit the Western customer. UNIQLO had built its sizing system around Japanese proportions, which tended to be narrower and shorter. When these garments appeared on British shelves, many shoppers found that a size labeled L felt unexpectedly tight, and trousers that looked promising on the hanger turned out to be too short once tried on. The mismatch created a subtle but persistent barrier. People admired the fabrics and appreciated the prices, yet they often left the store empty-handed simply because nothing sat comfortably on the body. For a brand trying to introduce itself to a new audience, this was more than a minor inconvenience. It was a reminder that even a well-designed product can fall flat if it doesn't meet the everyday expectations of the customer.
This failure exposed a deeper issue. UNIQLO had misread the European market. What worked in Japan, simple, functional basics sold at reasonable prices, didn't automatically appeal to shoppers in London or Manchester. In a retail environment dominated by trend-driven giants like Zara and H&M, UNIQLO's minimalist approach seemed plain rather than purposeful. Without strong brand recognition, its products risked blending into the background.
The company's retreat from the UK forced it to confront the uncomfortable truth that success at home didn't automatically translate abroad. Instead of abandoning Europe altogether, UNIQLO chose to pause and rethink its approach. Over the following years, the brand gradually reshaped its strategy, recognizing that it needed to adapt without losing the essence of what made it unique. It moved slowly, listened carefully, and rebuilt its presence step by step, And in time, its measured approach paid off, allowing the company to return to Europe with a clearer vision and a far stronger sense of direction. A slow but steady comeback. One of the most significant changes was the decision to slow down expansion. Rather than opening stores at breakneck speed, UNIQLO began focusing on fewer locations, each chosen with care. This shift allowed the company to refine its operations, train staff more effectively, and create a consistent shopping experience. At the same time, the brand started to pay closer attention to local culture. Stores were designed to feel connected to their surroundings, such as the Amsterdam flagship, which features a striking 3-story mural by Dutch artist Sandy van Helden. These touches helped the stores feel less like imported concepts and more like part of the neighborhood. UNIQLO also leaned into the qualities that set it apart from fast fashion. Instead of chasing trends, the company highlighted its commitment to quality and innovation. Technologies like heat tech, airism, and ultralight down became central to its identity, offering customers something they couldn't easily find elsewhere. These products helped shift the perception of UNIQLO from a basic clothing retailer to a brand that delivered genuine value through thoughtful design. Collaborations with designers such as J.W. Anderson, Christophe Lemaire, and Claire Waite-Keller further strengthened this image, attracting shoppers who might previously have overlooked the brand. These changes helped UNIQLO reposition itself not as a fast fashion competitor, but as a provider of reliable, thoughtfully designed essentials, an identity that eventually resonated with European consumers. By the mid-2020s, UNIQLO had finally begun to find its rhythm in Europe. Stores in major cities such as Amsterdam, Paris, and Berlin started attracting steady foot traffic, and the brand's reputation for quality basics gained traction. Reports noted that years of missteps taught UNIQLO that success in the US and Europe requires a different playbook, and that the company was now making all the right moves. Although UNIQLO remained cautious about expanding too quickly, its measured approach paid off. Instead of trying to dominate the market overnight, the company focused on building trust, one store, one neighborhood, one customer at a time. A more ethical choice. In recent years, people have become more concerned about the environment. In a world where fast fashion is getting a bad reputation for being wasteful, UNIQLO feels like the better choice. They don't follow fast fashion trends and prioritize durability, ensuring their staples don't fall apart after a few washes. Their clothes are meant to last for years, not just a few weeks. By staying away from throwaway fashion, they've won over a whole new generation of shoppers who care about the planet. While they still face criticisms regarding their manufacturing in China, their business model is inherently more sustainable than many of their rivals.